Hello, everyone. I'm Major Garrett in Washington. Welcome to The Takeout. I have said it over and over. All government shutdowns end. When they do, it's because one side of the political argument yielded on a principle they had said over and over was unyieldable. Then the tallying begins. Who won? Who lost? It is a Washington game that most Americans understandably detest because Beltway gamesmanship leaves them out of the equation. If you are one of the 42 million Americans who receive nutrition benefits through SNAP, you have lost because those benefits will remain in limbo, at least for the remainder of this week. If a recent flight of yours was delayed or canceled, you've lost unrecoverable time. If you're a federal worker who has gone without pay, you have lost the basic comfort of predictability. And for some of you, the stress has been too much and you have quit, something you wouldn't have done absent this prolonged shutdown. All of you thus affected have wanted this shutdown to end, and so it appears it will, on mostly Republican terms. President Trump and fellow Republicans refused to give an inch on extending soon-to-expire Obamacare subsidies. Democrats fought for 40 days for a deal on their terms and got nothing. Defeat always leaves a bitter aftertaste, and all Democrats have as a chaser is the notion that fighting Trump has elevated health care as an issue and exposed his willingness to inflict harm on, his words, not mine, Democratic programs. Plus, as one Democrat told me today, 40 days ago, we still, his words, had an East Wing and Trump hadn't had a Great Gatsby Halloween party. Those may become memorable shutdown images, and they might have even helped Democrats win big in last week's election. To recover, Trump is now offering cash checks from tariff revenue the Supreme Court, based on arguments just last week, may soon nullify. That rush to write checks speaks to an affordability dynamic Trump now seems hot to address, with a flurry of new ideas just this weekend: $2,000 checks, 50-year mortgages, and direct payments for health insurance. Who knows where any of that will go, but it's now part of shutdown theatrics. We will spend most of tonight's show going over all this, and we will follow the contours of the shutdown's end throughout the week. When all this started, we would open this program with a cavalcade of shutdown sound. Herewith, today's It's All About Over sound.
As we said from the beginning, the people's government cannot be held hostage to further anyone's political agenda. That was never right. And shutting down the government never produces anything.
I would encourage every member of this body, Democrat or Republican, pro-bill or anti-bill, not to stand in the way of our being able to deliver the coming relief quickly. The American people have suffered for long enough.
The American people have now awoken to Trump's health care crisis. Health care is once again at the forefront of people's minds. People now see that premiums are about to skyrocket. They're terrified about how they're going to pay for their insurance.
Our position as House Democrats has been crystal clear. We will sit down with any Republicans, anytime, any place, anywhere, in order to find a bipartisan path forward, but we're not down with their my way or the highway approach to governance.
Many of my friends are unhappy. They think we should have kept our government closed indefinitely to protest the policies of the Trump administration. I share their opinions of this administration, but cannot accept a strategy which wages political battle at the expense of my neighbor's paycheck or the food for his children.
We begin tonight with Daniella Diaz, who covers Congress for NOTUS. Remember, NOTUS stands for News of the U.S. Danielle, it's great to see you. This show lives in the moment, and as we speak, the Senate is moving towards some procedural votes to move all of this forward. Catch us up.
That's exactly right, Major. You know, normally I'm next to you on set, but here I am today on Capitol Hill because it's been, a whirlwind here for the last 24 hours. It started yesterday. I remember with it unclear whether there would actually be a deal to end the government shutdown. Fast forward to where we are right now, and the Senate's about to vote on the last procedural vote needed to be able to pass this proposal that was negotiated by 8 moderate Democrats, or I should say 7 moderate Democrats and 1 independent, Angus King, and of course, Republican senators. Once it passes the Senate this afternoon, we know that the House is going to come back at the earliest, by Wednesday to vote on that measure before it goes to President President Donald Trump's desk. What year is it? But to be clear, this has been just a month-long slog for Republicans, for Democrats, to try to figure out how to solve this issue of ending this government shutdown. And what it really ended up being was rank and file Democratic senators working with Republicans, Major, to end the shutdown. Democratic leadership does not have buy-in. We're going to see Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer vote against this measure shortly. And of course, we saw House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries also slam this proposal that was negotiated by rank and file Senate Democrats. So it's interesting to see the fact that it was just a handful of moderate Democrats to really get this over the finish line, which is always what Republican leadership expected to happen.
Jeanne Shaheen, Democratic senator from New Hampshire, led this effort for those 7 Democrats and the 1 independent who made this happen. She said today that the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer was read in on all this, knew about all of this, let them do this negotiating, which has led to some consternation about Schumer's leadership. Maybe he should step down or be replaced. Caitlin Huey-Burns, my colleague, talked to Bernie Sanders about that earlier today. Danielle, I want to listen to that sound.
Well, he's leading you all in the Senate right now. Do you think he should be replaced?
By whom? Well, that's the point. The question is if somebody, look, again, Schumer's views are very different than mine. He is an establishment Democrat, no secret. I am not. I hope that by electing new members of the Senate, we will have, in fact, new leadership. But right now, it is what it is.
Daniela, that's a phrase I think a lot of Democrats are going to be uttering all this week. It is what it is.
That's right, Major. I talked to a bunch of House Democrats who are incredibly upset with what took place in the Senate yesterday, what's about to take place when they vote on this proposal. Most House Democrats are going to vote against this measure. Most Senate Democrats are going to vote against this measure. Privately, of course, Democrats that are against this measure recognize that they were probably not going to get any sort of Affordable Care Act subsidy tax credits guaranteed the extension in any sort of proposal that the Senate was going to put forward, considering Republicans have the majority in the House and the Senate and the White House. But the real thing here is that the majority of the base and a lot of Democrats are saying that this is a cave from these moderates that negotiated this proposal, that Democrats have been clear that they wanted those tax credits extended by the end of the year, that Americans are going to be really affected with high premium healthcare costs, and that because this proposal was negotiated by moderate Democrats, they caved on this issue, and it's not guaranteed that they're going to get what they wished for from the beginning.
Certainly no guarantees at all. Daniella Diaz on Capitol Hill. Thanks so very much. We turn now to the White House, where we find Weijia Jiang. Weijia, is the White House under President Trump feeling slightly triumphant this afternoon?
Well, the White House is predicting that at the earliest there could be a shutdown deal sometime Wednesday evening into Thursday morning. And they are optimistic because they continue to blame the Democrats. And President Trump himself said that he was supporting the current bill because it does not include an extension of those health care subsidies that you and Daniela just laid out. And I know you had a montage of sound, Major, but the president himself just spoke a short time ago from the Oval Office about this, so take a listen.
We have support from enough Democrats, and we're going to be opening up our country. It's too bad it was closed, but we'll be opening up our country very quickly.
And senior White House officials also say that the administration has a plan to address some of those concerns about insurance premiums and the Affordable Care Act, and that they will begin to work in earnest on them. But again, stressing that they believe this is all the Democrats' fault, and even said that basically they're turning the clock back to September 30th, but nothing substantive has happened since then, except, well, a lot of arguing that we have been covering.
Part of this deal, Weijia, as you know, deals with Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program funding through the next fiscal year. The Agriculture Department on Friday said it was going to go forward with that. Then the Trump Justice Department went to the Supreme Court to stop this funding. Where are we with that for the remainder of this week?
Well, it is still going to be tied up in court, Major, because this administration has made very clear that they do not believe legally they can just use some of these contingency funds and deliver the full SNAP benefits that, by the way, a court order issued them to do. So at this point, it seems they are staying firm. They intend to fight this out in court. But it is confusing for many of these states because we've seen so much pull and push about what they are supposed to do, because obviously they also have to take steps to make sure that they are compensated for the funds that their states are entitled to. And so, Major, we just have to see what happens next in court.
When states are confused, you know for sure recipients, beneficiaries are confused as well. One of the many consequences is prolonged shutdown. Weijia Jiang of the White House, thank you so very much.